Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I'm back from London town, and the fantastic Adobe Summit last week was incredibly insightful and also inspiring as a rabble-rouser or experience maker myself. But now I'm back home and enjoying my home comforts. I wanted to ask you all if anybody remembers the golden era of coffee table books or coffee table magazine. These were the days where you would visit a friend's house and there'd be a publication on the coffee table there that looked stylish, eye-catching, artistic, maybe even beautiful, and you just had to pick it up and flick through it. Now, although our culture is now certainly digital first these days, we're also seeing a moment where folks are reclaiming traditional analogue elements such as print media, journaling, and even handwritten notes. So to demonstrate how analogue and digital can live together, How Life Unfolds is expanding its newly launched campaign to include a new limited edition print magazine called Pod Papers. And that brings all the popular podcasts to life in a way that has never been done before. And this really captured my imagination because I've never seen it done. And I struggle to understand why nobody thought of it and why nobody's done it. But they kindly sent me a copy when I requested one. And I was instantly reminded of those coffee table book moments because it wasn't just a magazine. It felt artistic. It felt creative. So in a world of convenience and personalisation, I wanted to find out more about why they decided to fuse together digital and analogue elements with pod papers and actually allow people to read rather than listen to podcasts. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way back to the US so we can speak with Erin Robinson about Pod Papers magazine. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Erin. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to be on the show. I'm the Director of Social Media at the Paper and Packaging Board. And just a little background, the Paper and Packaging How Life Unfolds campaign highlights the important role that paper and packaging plays in our everyday lives, helping us accomplish our goals and keeping our goods and products safe. So my job as the social media director is to share this message with our consumers by creating content, engaging in them on social, and really just making sure this message is clear using different articles and content across all of our social media channels, mainly Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Now, I've got to admit something to you here, because whenever I see a friend reading a magazine, I jokingly say, hey, physical media is dead. But that was until I came across your Pod Papers magazine, which seems on a mission to prove that digital and analogue can actually coexist in this tech-obsessed society that we both live in. But can you offer an overview of exactly what that magazine is and who it's aimed at?
Yeah, I think you explained it great at the top, that it's on a mission to prove that digital and analog can coexist in this tech-obsessed society. The pages of Pod Papers are designed to enhance the printed word and bring narratives to life on paper. So we aim towards an audience ages 18 to 49 that are achievement-focused. And these are the people that we found through research that really see paper as a premium tool to help them achieve and learn. They like to learn and take notes on paper. They like to show off their coffee table books. And it's a group that's a very much showing off kind of audience.
It's got a great vibe about it as well. I'll tell you something else that immediately sprang to mind as I was flicking through the magazine is that in this post-Cambridge Analytica world that we now find ourselves in, it almost feels like paper feels inherently trustworthy. Do you find that as well? And if so, why do you think that is?
Paper has always been the trustworthy source. We see it, from when we're born to our birth certificates or our social security card. We were just talking about the other day that with all of the graduations happening in colleges right now, your diploma is always on paper. So I think it's always been something that has been trustworthy, and now we're just kind of looking at it from a different perspective. We have to have both, right? We can't not be in the digital landscape, but we're still seeing the importance and security that paper does bring to us. And I think that's also when you look at Pod Papers. These are Pod Papers or podcasts that you listen to in your car ride from home or on this Metro or anywhere like that, but we're preserving these podcasts on paper to share over and over again, and it's like a way of preservation.
It's fantastic and a really unique angle. As a podcaster myself, obviously it's going to appeal to me. But I've got to ask, what was the story behind Pod Papers magazine, and where did that idea come from?
Well, we wanted to do something really different, something that's never been done before, and I'm surprised it hadn't been done before. Because of this digital first world, which is what you talked about, we're seeing that movement towards analog elements, taking us back to paper. So why not take a popular medium, which is huge right now, which is podcasts? I mean, I didn't think I'd be listening to podcasts probably 4 years ago, but that's like my daily drive into work and my daily drive home. And so why not turn them into something that you can hold into your hands to show off and to treasure, especially with that audience that we have that I talked about, that 18 to 49 audience that loves to show achievement through paper and show off with paper.
So when you pitched the idea of translating a podcast into something that ultimately feels incredibly artistic and quite beautiful, but did you face any resistance when you were pitching that idea?
Well, thank you for the kind words.
It's true.
We're glad you think it's beautiful. That's part of the point. Of course we had questions, especially from people who were not familiar with podcasts, right? There's definitely probably an age group that doesn't listen to them or, hasn't grown up with them. But we knew this was something brand new that had never been done. And with the podcast being so popular, we wanted to be the one to be first. Especially since the concept fits perfectly with our How Life Unfolds campaign.
So in a digital world obsessed with personalisation, convenience and all those other big buzzwords this year, do you think people are slowly coming back to print just to escape that online noise?
I think so. We're seeing that just in some of the research that we're doing, and I think we're also seeing that. I see it every day. It's so funny, like a Barnes & Noble bookstore just popped up the other day in my neighborhood, which I was surprised, right? Because we thought, bookstores were going away, but we're seeing that people prefer books, holding books, something tangible in their hands. People are using paper planners. My goodness, we do a ton of social on just the paper planner movement and how people are balancing using planners with their digital calendars. So I think there's this new thing. It's not all digital. We now know that there's a new mix of using both digital and analog elements in our society now.
Now, one of the articles I really enjoyed in there was the success story behind Loot Crate. But can you tell the listeners what to expect from the magazine as a whole?
Yeah, so there's stories in there for everyone. And Loot Crate was a great entrepreneurial story. There's also stories. What we did, we actually went through so many different podcasts and listened to so many different ones and also read through transcripts of them, which I thought was so exciting and fun to do. But each of the ones that we picked tells a story of how print works with digital to generate innovation, creativity, and achievement. So you'll see 4 different chapters of how each one of these, I think there's 8 total, highlights one of these topics.
So where can anyone listening get a copy of Pod Papers? And are you going to be producing many more issues this year, or is this a one-off?
Well, we're excited because today, Monday, Pod Papers is out on shelves at Barnes & Noble nationwide. So people should be able to find it at any Barnes & Noble location in the United States. It should be on the cash wrap. And right now, we don't have any plans for another one, but I would like to say never say never. It's definitely a possibility.
Oh, man, that's ruined my next question, which was going to be, how can podcasters such as myself submit story ideas or even have their own podcast translated in a future issue? So you still don't know if there is going to be further issues in the future?
We don't. We hope, we would love to have this as a huge success. And then, yes, we would do that. And, if people are interested, if podcasters are interested, we want to hear from them for sure, because that would help us decide, right? Yeah. And they can always contact us through our howlifeunfolds.com website.
Cool. And dare I ask as well, just for international listeners, please don't shout me down for asking this, because it's everything that you're against at the moment, but dare I ask if there is an online edition of the magazine?
Well, there should be. Right now, and we're not against online at all. We understand the gap between online, like I said, and digital and analog. And right now what we're doing is we're pushing it out exclusively print in Barnes & Noble stores, and we're going to let that go for a few months. But we do plan on putting an online version on the howlifeunfolds.com site so other people can see it. And you'll also be able to see clips and snippets and little tidbits from our social channels throughout the month of May. So you'll see it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well.
Cool. Well, before I let you go, can I just ask that you remind the listeners of where they can get you on those social channels and your website, etc., just so anyone can check out exactly what it is and what it looks like?
Yeah, so again, our website is a great way to find us. It's howlifeunfolds.com. But you can also find, and we are very active on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram channels, which are all How Life Unfolds.
I absolutely love what you're doing here, and I've got to tell you, that magazine has got pride of place on my coffee table. And I don't know if it's because I've not had lots of magazines in my house for a long time, but actually being able to leaf through this and look at the great stories in there and see how you've transcribed podcasts, it's just a phenomenal thing. It's just really unique, and I can see when you said you wanted to go out there and do something that's never been done before, you really have, and that really comes across, and there seems to be a lot of love and passion behind it. So a big thank you for coming on and sharing that story with us today.
Thank you so much, and that's exactly where we want it. We want it on your coffee table as a coffee table book.
I really enjoyed this story because it was about something that I've never seen before or even thought about, and I think the concept is really interesting. Now, Pod Papers magazine, the coffee table book there, is available to US listeners in Barnes & Noble stores, but I'm conscious for international listeners that have a love of coffee table books or magazines, they're not going to be able to get their hands on one yet. Yes, they'll be able to follow Erin on social media there and get those regular snippets. But for anyone that would really love to get a copy, email me or tweet me about your favourite coffee table book or magazine story. And you know what? I will send my copy to one of the people that enter. As always, you can do that by emailing me at techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. But that's it for today, I'm afraid. I have loads of guests on the horizon waiting to speak with us. But until then, I think it's time to go outside and enjoy some sunshine. So thanks for tuning in as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.